Moments of stress, surprise, and hilarity are never far behind in a world where the lines between sports and celebrities are frequently blurred. Fans of the New York Knicks and the Golden State Warriors were treated to an unexpected spectacle during a thrilling NBA game between the two teams. The spectacle included not only jaw-dropping plays and buzzer beaters, but also an awkward yet amusing interaction between Grammy-winning singer Jennifer Hudson and a rising NBA star who was only 24 years old. To what scene? At the courtside, there was a collision that came dangerously close to being catastrophic, a moment that hit everyone on the edge of their seats, and not just because of the activity that was taking place on the court. Location of the accident or incident. According to appearances, the evening at Madison Square Garden was nothing out of the ordinary. The Knicks were going up against the Warriors, two clubs that had devoted fan bases and a lot of ground to make up for. Every single possession was fought with ferocity, and every single shot was taken with a mindset that it had the potential to alter the overall trajectory of the season. It should come as no surprise that the courtside seats were loaded with famous people, athletes, and other prominent persons. Jennifer Hudson, a popular singer and actress who has won an Academy Award, was one of them. She is famous for her powerful voice and her presence that is larger than life. Hudson, who was wearing an ensemble that was both sophisticated and subtle, was in the front and center of the room, evidently enjoying the game. The roller coaster of emotions that her followers were experiencing was reflected in her facial expressions. These emotions included joy, despair, and absolute incredulity at some of the spectacular shows that were being performed. That night, however, Hudson was not the only person who was attracting attention. The focus of attention was also shifting to a young player who was 24 years old and had just made headlines for his performances. This young player was rising to prominence. As a result of this player's remarkable rise in the league, the National Basketball Association, NBA, was viewed as having one of its future faces. On the other hand, nobody had any idea that he would soon be at the center of an unexpected moment. A moment that would have everyone from the players to the celebrities who were sitting courtside laughing, cringing, and gasping in shock. The act that caused the incident to take place. Tensions were high because there were less than 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the game was tied at the same point. The Warriors were motivated to make a comeback, and they were exerting a lot of effort on both ends of the court. The Knicks were only leading by 2 points at that time. This was the moment when the game took a turn, but it was not for the reason that anyone had anticipated. When the Warriors made a quick break, the ball was in the hands of their top point guard, who quickly handed it to the emerging star, who was 24 years old at the time. As the young player made his way towards the basket, he abruptly moved to the right in an effort to avoid being caught by a Knicks defender standing in his way. At that very instant, he experienced a momentary loss of footing that was sufficient to compel him to topple forward. As a last-ditch effort to prevent himself from falling, he reached out with his hand. However, rather than securing himself with the ball, his hand ended up landing on the back of the chair that was in front of him. Unfortunately, Jennifer Hudson was the one who claimed ownership of this chair. The uncomfortable moment in my life. Despite the fact that the impact was not very severe, it was sufficient to send the young player teetering dangerously close to Hudson. It all took place in such a short amount of time that there was very little time to react. While the player was still attempting to regain his equilibrium, he found himself leaning uncomfortably near to Hudson. As he struggled to maintain his upright position, his body awkwardly brushed against her. Hudson, who was always a professional, was a model of poise even while dealing with intense pressure. Despite the fact that she was able to shift in her seat just enough to prevent a full-blown collision, the near miss caused her to be overcome with shock. The crowd appeared to be holding their breath as the scene unfolded as if it were taking place in slow motion. When Hudson first realized what had occurred, her face displayed a mixture of astonishment and perplexity. However, as soon as she realized what had occurred, she broke out into a nervous laugh. A smile that was contagious returned to her face as she reassured the young athlete that everything was all right. She brushed off the event with a gesture of goodwill. A look of apology was given to her by the player, who was also shaken up by the close encounter the previous time. He was able to regain his composure, but not before the moment had captured the attention of the cameras as well as the crowd. One could feel the uneasiness in the air, but the whole thing was so charming that it would be difficult for anyone watching to be overly judgmental. The responses of those who are in their company. Even if the awkwardness wasn't enough, the emotions from the crowd just added to the drama that was already prevalent. There was a diverse group of celebrities seated in the seats around Hudson. These celebrities included fellow musicians, actresses, and even a few former athletes or athletics. The unusual turn of events caused them to laugh, and they couldn't help but do so. A few people even made a joke about the young kid maybe adding avoiding collisions with celebrities to his list of skills. As the cameras swiftly zoomed in on Hudson, who was now laughing off the incident, making light of the situation by winking at the audience, the cameras turned their attention to him. Despite the unfortunate event, the gamer maintained a sense of humor about it. During an interview that took place after the game, he brought up the incident and laughed as he remarked, "I just wanted to make a play, but I guess I ended up with a courtside seat of my own." During the course of a game, I can honestly state that I have never come close to colliding with Jennifer Hudson. In response to his attempt to make light of the situation, the audience at the arena erupted in laughter. It was one of those rare times where an unintentional interaction between sports and celebrity culture ended in everyone feeling a bit more human. The awkwardness of the moment turned out to be one of those rare instances. The incident served as a timely reminder that despite the glitz and glamour of the National Basketball Association, NBA, these sportsmen are just as subject to unforeseen and often embarrassing situations as the rest of us. This is a moment that will be remembered forever, the fallout. As for Hudson, she appeared to be unfazed by the occurrence and appeared to be taking everything in stride. Through the course of the game, she was observed clapping and yelling for both sides, demonstrating that she was clearly enjoying the remainder of the action. She went so far as to post a picture on social media later that evening, accompanied by a message that read, "Well, tonight I got up close and personal with some of the game's best courtside moments." The embarrassing moment, which had the potential to quickly escalate into an uncomfortable circumstance, instead turned out to be a humorous highlight of the game. The player in issue was subjected to some fun taunting from his teammates in the locker room. However, the supporters, including Jennifer Hudson, were able to find humor in the situation. Despite the fact that the Knicks were ultimately victorious over the Warriors in a nail-biting conclusion, it was abundantly evident that the true victor of the evening was the humorous moment that brought everyone together. It is the unexpected moments, the ones that don't belong in the script, that may occasionally make a game genuinely unforgettable. This is especially true in the world of sports, which is dominated by high-stakes drama and competitiveness. Final thoughts. At the end of the day, what had the potential to be a humiliating disaster turned out to be a moment in the history of athletics that was both memorable and hilarious. Jennifer Hudson, who exudes an effortless charm, handled the embarrassment with elegance, and the player, who is 24 years old, added another one-of-a-kind anecdote to his burgeoning history. The game between the Knicks and the Warriors will surely be remembered for the intensity of the battle, but it will also be remembered by fans as the night that a collision almost occurred, and everyone, from the players to the celebrity courtside spectators, laughed about it together. This will be a memorable night for fans.